What's going on, nomads, party people, and strangers everywhere across the internet? My name is V, like the letter, and welcome back to After Hours Saga, where today we are covering Spider-Man Homecoming as one of my whole things I've seen in the past I should have talked about then, aka sagas in general. Anyway, we all know the story of Spider-Man Homecoming, set a little bit after the events of Captain America Civil War, aka Avengers 3. Let's just be honest there. We have to follow up on where Spider-Man is during this time, where he's not only trying to gain the approval of Iron Man, but also trying to prove himself as a hero within New York City, trying to fight off against one of his first major antagonists of the Vulture. One of the most sympathetic villains that we have seen in quite a while. It's just a simple guy wanting to have a simple job, but then gets pretty much pissed all over by every single person, and then just be like, you know what, let me just become a supervillain. And that's pretty much the basic premise, other than the whole thing following up on how Spider-Man is as a character, where although I hate him from where he is in the comics and where he has been for several years now, in the grand scheme of things, this younger version of Peter Parker during one of the beginning parts of his career feels like the Peter Parker I used to love reading about when I was a big comic fan. He was goofy, clumsy, trying to make himself at least be somewhat of a popular figure, and trying to at least have a good amount of friends, while keeping his identity secret and be a good nephew to his Aunt May. Although, to be fair, the original Aunt May I would not smash, but this new May by Marissa Tomei is like,
all in favor?
Aye! I'm sorry. So, from just that whole small little summary stuff and what everyone else knows about Spider-Man Homecoming, because it was one of the most popular films of the summer, for obvious reasons, because Marvel does that every time. Why don't we also try to focus on the fact of how the cinematography and special effects and good casting went as far as it did for this film. There are many different ways that this could have gone, many different directions this could have went through if the whole cinematic universe didn't build up a strong enough structure where, although it can be replayed and rehashed as if it's like any other superhero story, then it just ends up kind of crumbling on its feet. In that whole regard, though, it still stands as its own unique story, and it gives itself enough breathing room to not only give a new breath of air to Peter Parker, but a good enough new life in general for Spider-Man going back into the fray of Marvel, almost officially. Almost. But then there's still that whole Sony contract that kind of keeps certain characters still under their label, like the Venom and Black Cat movie they're coming out under Sony's label. So yeah, kinda still back in the fray with Marvel, but not there yet. Not in my house. Not today. No, no, no. So anyway, enough of that bullshit. We're going back into the rating stuff about this whole film, which I might do a full review on in Marauder's review when that finally premieres. So, going off the rating system that I had originally in my mind to where it is now as a comparison, I would like to give this entire film about an 8.2 out of 13 with a, I would say, C+, and giving it a 4.8 out of 7-star rating. Mostly because of how action-packed it is, but also it kind of falls under the same boring strategic formula that Marvel is doing, and if it wants to still get in the same curve of itself as like Cinematic Universe is the all-time popular thing, then they shouldn't be afraid to just mix it up and do something fresh and unique and, quite frankly, original to the whole formula they've established. They're allowed to take and demolish the boundaries they made for themselves to make new walls for themselves. And I'm tired of seeing the same repeated formula, even though I like certain films, such as Doctor Strange, this film, and most assuredly Civil War. Let's hope they do a lot better in Black Panther, otherwise I'm gonna be pissed as a motherfucker. Still though, next film we're gonna be looking at after this, it should be It Comes at Night. So I'll see you guys in that installment.